Nigeria, as we stand now, I don't know which word it is. I think it's a country.
When you say each country, you mean that, you know, these different ethnic groups which can stand alone as a nation?
No. What I'm saying is, if you're talking about ECOWAS and bringing the African countries together, each country must first resolve its own problems to be clear of its nationhood. Nigeria, as it is now, is just a conglomeration of ethnic groups, always suspicious of each other. We don't have a nation yet. We have a country. We don't have a nation. Until we have a nation, and we know that we are a nation, we cannot go and be talking about unity with other nations when we ourselves are not even united. That's the problem we have in Africa. And it's not only Nigeria, it's all over the continent.
You mentioned something about South Carolina that brought in 51 companies that made deals with Chinese companies also.
Yeah. One state.
Yeah, one state. Such a thing.
And California, one state, is the fourth largest economy in the world because it is operating economically like a country and is growing every day, and they're handling their problems. You know, they're handling their problems. When the president in Washington says something about how they're going to deal with China, the governor of California said, no, we're not dealing with China that way. We have a friendly relationship with China, and we are going to continue working with China. You know, now, this is what I'm saying. This is the only way.
You also have the climate change example, of course, because when, I mean, the example of climate change.
Exactly.
The Paris deal that President Trump decided to pull out of so many states in the U.S. said they will continue.
Exactly.
You know, to observe.
That's the only way a country can survive. Because if you don't allow them to go and deal like that, then they will tell you they don't want to be part of this country. I can tell you the eastern part of Nigeria may not be part of this country as we speak because of this constraint. You don't allow people to go out and use their natural resources, to use their human capacity to develop themselves. You keep them in poverty, locked up in poverty, because you want to maintain control at the federal level. It's not going to work.
Well, all this partnership with international countries in a way works to the detriment of, you know, these African countries. We look at Liberia, we look at Sierra Leone, where you have large deposits of diamonds, and that led to a civil war. Well, not directly, but it was one of the remote causes of the civil war and so on. So should the international community take responsibility?
But it didn't happen in Rwanda, right? Or Botswana.
Well, it didn't happen.
Yeah. Look.
But Botswana is a good example. Botswana is a good example.
Botswana,
because, yes, that didn't turn out into a war. I mean, that was one of the...
I think the problem is, first, the state, the political stability of a country will determine if it will survive the intrusion or the involvement of foreign companies. Every company comes in to make a profit. For instance, if Shell comes to Nigeria and is prospecting for oil, it's looking to make a profit. If you can damage the whole environment, it's cheaper for it to do that, to make highest profit, that's what it will do. If the government of Nigeria doesn't keep it in check. Now, if Shell comes to Niger Delta and Shell is polluting the Niger Delta and destroying environment in Niger Delta and destroying lives in Niger Delta, as it has done anywhere it's going, that's the manner of capitalism. It is now left for the country. But if Nigeria and the president is treating the Niger Delta as the other, not part of me because I'm from somewhere else in the country, now you see where the problem is. And that's why you have discontent in the Niger Delta. Because the Niger Delta is not treated as if it's in the president's backyard. He's treating it offshore. It's really not my business. Anything can happen there. All we need is just get us the oil. So our partners are not the people of the Niger Delta, but the Shell company. That's the problem of this federal government, and that's where we have crisis in that region now.
So is this mentality of capitalism? Is that what is preventing them from even responding, appropriately when you have crisis in this country? In these countries, when you find the international community intervening, it is when people have already died and the crisis is full-blown. Should they take more responsibility?
Yeah, definitely. But look, unless you press them, look, Shell is not a Dutch. Shell is a business. So international community will be, look, what happened, was it Gulf of Mexico, where Shell polluted, and the American government had to take a stand and say, look, you can do this. Yeah. That's how it operates. The government is not the company. The company may come from a certain country, but the country is not obliged to do anything. We have to deal with the company, and it is our government that must deal with those companies in order to keep them in check.
So then, how can African countries make the balance between providing for the international markets, where much of the revenue comes from for these resources, requesting full value for their resources and deploying those back towards development?
First and foremost, you have to have political stability in your country. You have to have government officials who are fully patriotic, who understand that this country belongs to them, who are not, you don't want a president who's the president of the northern part of Nigeria and not the western part or the eastern part of Nigeria. If you have that kind of mentality, or you have a president who is an ethnic president who belongs to, the problem with the Democratic Republic of the Congo. People accuse you of being ethnocentric, you only care for your own tribe. Unless you don't have that, then your country will be weak, and you'll not be able to get your maximum profit from dealing with the outside world. Because it is easy to divide and conquer, and when you are divided, it's easy to exploit your resources and take it, easy to destroy your people, unless you yourself are accountable, first and foremost at home, to your own country, fully committed. Then you can challenge foreign investment and foreign exploitation.
This attitude by African leaders of looking out for themselves and their own cronies and so on, could that date back to the days of colonialism? Can we blame it on that?
Well, we've been independent for some time now, going on 60 years. So that is most of the African countries. So it is high time we start realizing that what the colonialists left is not good enough, and we should review the structures they left behind. And if we do that, then we'll be able to compete. Yes, colonial inheritance has not been too good for us, but it will continue to affect us negatively if we don't address the issue and begin to review where we are. We don't have to remain the way we are. And by the way, we have never, the leaders of the First Republic, for instance, in Nigeria, always have doubts about this unity, and we're supposed to review it every now and then. I remember all of us said Nigeria was not a country, it was just a mere geographical expression. Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sadano of Sokoto, said God did not make Nigeria, the British did. So everybody had this idea that what the colonialists have put together is not exactly what it should be, and we need to review it. But when power comes in and one group has power, they want to hold on to it. I don't think that what individual heads of states get now in terms of benefits and privilege is going to be even as much as they get if they have a more peaceful and a more organized country, because we'll be more developed in that way. If we are more peaceful and we are more organized and we are more nationalistic, I think they will even do better than they're doing now.
Dr. Adetokunbo Pearse, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here.
We've come to the end of the program. Let us know what you think. The addresses to reach us on are on your screens. I am Amarachi Ubani. I'll see you next time.